Welcome to Mind Atlas. Picture this: one man, one book, and a spark that set the world on fire. His name? Karl Marx. Love him or loathe him, his ideas shook empires, sparked revolutions, and still fuel debates today. Was he a visionary or a dreamer whose plans went too far? Over the next 20 minutes, we're diving into the life, mind, and legacy of Karl Marx, the rebel who dared to challenge the world. Ready to uncover his story? Hit that like button and let's jump in. Karl Marx wasn't born with a manifesto in hand. Born in 1818 in Trier, Germany, he grew up in a middle-class family. His father, a lawyer, wanted Karl to follow suit. But young Marx had bigger dreams. He was a bookworm, sneaking into his friend Jenny von Westphalen's family library, poring over texts in Greek, Latin, and French. Those books lit a fire in him, a hunger for ideas that would shape history. But Marx wasn't all study and no play. At the University of Bonn, he joined a drinking club, racked up debts, and drove his dad up the wall with his wild streak. Frustrated, his father sent him to the University of Berlin, where Marx found his calling: philosophy, economics, history. He earned a PhD from Jena, but his radical ideas got him exiled from Germany, then France, then Belgium. By 1849, he landed in London, where his real work began. So, what made Marx's mind tick? His theories weren't just rants against the rich. They were a razor-sharp lens for dissecting society. Let's unpack three big ideas that formed the backbone of his philosophy. Ideas that set the stage for his later calls to action. First up, dialectical materialism. Sounds complex, but it's Marx's way of saying history moves through conflict. Borrowing from Hegel, he argued that society evolves when opposing forces, think rich versus poor, clash. These struggles aren't random. They're driven by economic realities, like who controls the factories or the land. For Marx, history was a story of tension, pushing humanity toward new systems, one clash at a time. Next, the labor theory of value. This one's huge. Marx said the value of anything, a shirt, a table, comes from the human effort put into it. But in a capitalist world, workers pour their sweat into products, only for bosses to take the profits. The worker gets a tiny wage, the owner gets rich. That gap, what Marx called surplus value, is the seed of inequality. It's why a factory worker toils all day but can't afford the goods he makes. Then there's alienation. Imagine slaving away on a factory line, making shoes you'll never own, using tools you don't control. Marx said this disconnect strips workers of their humanity. They're not creators, they're cogs in a machine, robbed of purpose. Alienation isn't just low pay. It's losing the joy of work, the pride of creation. Marx dreamed of a world where labor felt meaningful again. These ideas weren't just theory. They were Marx's map for understanding why the world was so unequal and how it could change. But what was the world he was trying to fix? Let's step into his time to find out. Marx's world was a powder keg. The 19th century saw the Industrial Revolution turn Europe upside down. Factories boomed, but workers suffered, cramped in urban slums, toiling 14-hour days for scraps. Children as young as 6 worked in deadly mills. The rich grew richer, the poor desperate. Monarchs and aristocrats gripped power tightly, but cracks were showing. In 1848, revolutions swept France, Germany, and beyond, with workers demanding rights. Marx, exiled and broke, saw this chaos and asked, who benefits from this system? His answer, capitalism, a machine that grinds workers for profit. Marx faced constant hurdles. His radical writings got him kicked out of 3 countries, forcing him to London. He lived in poverty, losing 4 of his 7 children to hardship. Critics called him a dangerous agitator, but supporters like Friedrich Engels, a wealthy friend who funded his work, saw genius. Engels's support kept Marx's pen moving, even when he could barely afford ink. From this turmoil, Marx crafted a vision for change. His books, the Communist Manifesto, written with Engels in 1848, and Das Kapital, outlined a world without exploitation. Here are 20 core values of his vision. 1. Class struggle. History is clashes between classes like bourgeoisie versus proletariat. 2. Abolish private property. Land and capital belong to all. 3. Overthrow capitalism. Workers must rise to end exploitation. 4th. Classless society. No one rules over another. 5. Collective ownership. Factories and tools are community-owned. 6. End exploitation. Workers keep their labor's full value. 7. Centralized economy. State manages industries for fairness. 8. Free education. Learning for all, not just the elite. 9. Ban child labor. Protect kids from factories. 10th National Bank. State-run banking for public good. 11th. Centralized transport. Public systems for efficiency. 12. Progressive taxes. Wealthier pay more. 13. End inheritance. Stop wealth passing down unfairly. 14th. Worker control. Workplaces run democratically. 15th. Global unity. Workers worldwide join hands. 16th. Critique religion. It's a tool to pacify workers. 17. Historical materialism. Economics shapes society's path. 18th revolution. Not reform. Only upheaval changes systems. 19th. End alienation. Labor should feel fulfilling. 20. Communism. A stateless, equal society. Marx believed capitalism's greed would spark a worker uprising, replacing it with communism. Bold? Absolutely. But did it work? Let's see how his ideas played out. Marx's ideas hit the world like a thunderbolt. In 1917, Vladimir Lenin led Russia's Bolshevik Revolution, building the Soviet Union on Marxist principles. Mao Zedong's China and Fidel Castro's Cuba followed, promising equality. But the cost was steep. Millions died in famines, purges, and conflicts. Critics blamed Marx, saying his ideas bred tyranny. The Soviet Union's 1991 collapse seemed to prove communism's flaws: empty shelves, lost freedoms. Yet defenders argue Marx didn't design dictatorships. He wanted worker power. Missteps by leaders like Stalin weren't his fault. Beyond revolutions, Marx's ideas shaped smaller battles. In India, trade unions used his critiques to fight colonial bosses. In Africa, leaders like Kwame Nkrumah leaned on Marx to resist empires. In Europe, his influence won shorter workdays and child labor bans, ideas now baked into democracies. But Marx wasn't perfect. His view of religion as the opium of the people dismissed its cultural role, losing him allies. His bet on inevitable revolution ignored capitalism's knack for adapting with welfare and labor laws. How does Marx stack up against others? John Stuart Mill prized individual freedom over class war, while Max Weber saw bureaucracy, not just economics, shaping society. Today, Thomas Piketty echoes Marx's warnings about wealth gaps, but prefers taxes over revolt. Still, Marx's genius, blending history, economics, sociology, made him a social science titan, alongside Weber and Emil Durkheim. Is Marx relevant now? Look around. Billionaires own more than half the world's wealth, while gig workers scrape by. Sound familiar? Movements like Occupy Wall Street or climate justice campaigns channel Marx's rage against greed. But his revolution call feels outdated. Reforms, stronger unions, universal income might work better. Technology, from AI to automation, adds new wrinkles Marx didn't foresee, disrupting jobs but sparking innovation. Marx's legacy endures. In 1999, a BBC poll named him the millennium's greatest thinker, topping Einstein and Newton. His works, the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, still inspire, from Europe's welfare states to India's labor fights. A statue in Trier, a mountain peak in Tajikistan, his tombstone's words, "The philosophers have only interpreted the world. The point is to change it." All echo his impact. Marx died in 1883, with just 11 at his funeral, but his ideas live on, challenging us to rethink power and fairness. What a ride through Karl Marx's world. Agree with him or not, he made us question the systems around us. What's your take on Marx? Drop it in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mind Atlas. We're your go-to channel for unraveling the lives and ideas of history's greatest minds, from Socrates to Einstein, from ancient philosophy to modern revolutions. Hit that bell icon to stay updated, and let's keep exploring the thinkers who shaped our world. Together,